Here are 5 declining teams in the NBA this upcoming season. My name is Joshua Enviers. Let's get started first, talking about the New Orleans Pelicans, because Anthony Davis is most likely gone at the start of the season, whether it's to the Boston Celtics or whoever gives him a good offer. I don't think that relationship is repairable, but good to the Pelicans if the relationship between them and Anthony Davis is. Because although he has been injured in the past, he's still a top 10 talent. I would say top 5, but the injuries kind of derail him, and then the team around him kind of derail him from consistently being a top 5 player. And even when he has been healthy, the Pelicans just haven't been able to put any talent around him. I mean, their second best player is Drew Holiday, and on a championship team, Drew Holiday shouldn't be your second best player. I think what really hurt the Pelicans was that when the CBA rised, like 3 years ago, almost gonna be 4, they gave out big contracts to guys like Etuan Moore, Solomon Hill. They gave Drew Holiday an extension, and for a while it didn't look so good until recently. You can't replace Anthony Davis in a season, so no matter what you get for Anthony Davis, I still don't think it will be enough up front to help you improve and become a better team. So give it a few years if you're a Pelican fan. Let's talk about the other thumbnail guy, John Wall, and his Washington Wizards. I mentioned this in other videos. What a rich person problem John Wall must have had if he slipped down his stairs and tore his Achilles. Like, that is some rich problem that I've never heard of. Or maybe because I don't have a 2-story house, or I'm not like 80 something years old. John Wall must have been off like the Henny or some type of drug if he slips and falls down his stairs. So he's going to be out for the remainder of the season, most likely. The chances of the Washington Wizards having a top 10 pick in the 2019 NBA draft are pretty high, so they could build upon that. But in all reality, Dwight Howard's coming back for another season unless they trade him away. They just don't have the talent outside of Bradley Beal, and the John Wall contract's really going to eat at them, so they can't do much in the offseason to help them be a contender in the Eastern Conference. I say wait it out if you're the Washington Wizards. See what happens like in the first month, maybe 2 months. If you're at the bottom of the East, blow it up. Trade away Bradley Beal, even though if he's a guy that I would feel more comfortable building around than John Wall at this point, because John Wall just doesn't seem to care. Next up, let's talk about the Detroit Pistons. They made the 8th seed this season, got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks, and I don't think they're going to become the 8th seed again next year. I don't even think they're going to be in the playoffs next year with the rising talent in the East, depending on the free agency. Trade Reggie Jackson, trade Andre Drummond. Obviously, this isn't 2K, and you can't get rid of these horrible contracts that the Pistons do have. They'll probably play it out the remainder of next season with Andre Drummond, just to give him another year with Blake Griffin to see if it works. But that duo isn't really going to work, especially if you don't have a guy like Chris Paul. Reggie Jackson is not Chris Paul, so the era of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan, that really isn't going to work with the Pistons with Jackson, Griffin, and Drummond. They need a solid point guard, and they don't really have any good valuable assets to trade, so Drummond might be the odd man out here. Free Blake Griffin while you're at it, but I think they're going to want to hold on to Blake. With the roster they do have, unless they do some major changes, I don't see them making the playoffs in the Eastern Conference next year. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets. This is a tricky one because Kemba Walker is a free agent. He has a chance to finally leave this awful franchise and go to a playoff contender, but he seems to be loyal to the core and most likely going to get some big money in Charlotte. Is that a right decision career-wise? Probably not, considering they got max contracts and Nick Batum. They have Bismack Biyombo and Marvin Williams still getting paid like 14 to 17 million. So if Kemba does stay, it's not going to help the Charlotte Hornets get any better. They could build through the draft, but that's a slow process, and it might not happen overnight, being next season. The Charlotte Hornets look to be in a lose-lose situation, whether or not Kemba re-signs with them or not. They're just not good enough, and they need to do major changes to their roster, and it's going to be hard to because they don't have any talent besides Kemba, Malik Monk, and Miles Bridges. We said free Blake earlier. We might have to say free Kemba, because if he re-signs, that's good for him, a loyal guy, but I guess that shows that he doesn't really care about winning if he's getting paid. Last but not least, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They got knocked out in the first round. Russell Westbrook hasn't been able to get out of the first round since Kevin Durant left. Where did they go from here? Because they got big contracts in Westbrook, Paul George, Steven Adams. They don't really have any tradable assets, and they haven't really lined up shooters around Russell Westbrook. Fans don't seem to like Billy Donovan. They're saying he can't coach, and that may or may not be true, but Sam Presti thinks otherwise. He said he's going to go on to next season with Billy Donovan as their head coach. Could be a good or bad move, but honestly, I think Westbrook just needs shooting because he's not an efficient shooter. PG wasn't efficient in the playoffs. They don't have, Jerry Grant, Terrence Ferguson, those are the two guys you have to rely on to give you outside shots. Not to mention Andre Roberson's coming back next season, most likely going to get a starting job. I don't know where the Oklahoma City Thunder go from here. They have to trade guys like Roberson, even Dennis Schroeder. They don't need a player of Schroeder's talent to be a backup point guard. That guy could be a starting point guard on a variety of different teams. Get some value out of him, get some shooters, fill out your roster, as tough as that may be with all the heavy contracts they have. But with that being said, those are 5 declining teams I feel like are going to be on the decline this upcoming season. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section below, along with giving me any 5 teams I may have missed. Leave a like, subscribe, check out some of these other videos on screen, and I'll talk to you in the next video tomorrow.